Family laughed when I said I'd buy a house. Then sister saw my realtor showing me mansions. My sister actually snorted like a real, involuntary animal sound when I said, I'm going to start looking at houses this year. And the table erupted in that warm, cruel family laughter that makes your skin crawl because it pretends to be affection. You, Tara said, wiping fake tears from the corner of her eye with her napkin. Like a whole house. My dad chuckled in his beer. My mom did that tight smile she does when she's trying to look supportive while also enjoying the joke. And I just sat there with my fork hovering over my plate, feeling the heat climb up my neck, pretending I was laughing too, so nobody could accuse me of being sensitive. I felt it in real time like a physical thing. The way the room shifted to make me smaller. My ears went hot. My throat tightened. I could taste vinegar from the salad dressing because I'd stopped breathing properly. Tara leaned forward like she was about to offer me a pity pat. Sweetie, she said, all sing-song. Do you mean like a little apartment? Because houses are, expensive. Then she glanced at my boyfriend, now husband, Eli, like she was checking if he was embarrassed to be associated with me. Eli's jaw clenched, but he didn't jump in because he knows my family's rule. If you defend yourself, you're the problem. If you swallow it, you're mature. I set my fork down carefully so it wouldn't clink, and I said, yeah, a house. And my dad laughed again and said, with what money, kiddo? It was a Sunday dinner, one of those mandatory ones my mom insists on where everything is family, until it's time for someone to be the punchline. We've been doing them since I moved back to the same city after college, because my parents love the feeling of everyone under one roof. Tara loves it because it's her stage. She's 2 years older than me, married to a guy who wears loafers without socks and calls it European, and she has this whole vibe of being the successful one even when half her life is financed by appearances. She's also the kind of person who can deliver an insult with a smile, then act offended if you don't thank her for being honest. I'm not the dramatic sibling. I'm the one who became competent early because it was safer. I got good grades, I worked through school, I didn't ask for anything big. Tara got attention for existing. I got attention for not causing trouble. So when I said I wanted to buy a house, I wasn't trying to flex. I was trying to say something out loud that I've been quietly building toward for years. I'd been saving like a paranoid person. Automatic transfers the day my paycheck hit. No fancy car. No vacations that looked good on Instagram. A side gig that wasn't glamorous. A spreadsheet so detailed it would make a financial advisor cry. I didn't talk about it because my family turns your goals into group entertainment, and I didn't have the energy to be laughed at while I was still stacking bricks. The thing is, the laughter didn't just hurt because it was mean. It hurt because it was familiar. It was the same laugh from when I said I wanted to apply for a competitive scholarship. The same laugh from when I said I wanted to switch jobs. The same laugh from when I said I didn't want kids yet, and Tara said, good, because you can barely take care of a plant. It's always been this default setting with them. Assume I'm reaching above my station, then enjoy the moment I'm put back in it. So after that dinner, I didn't argue. I didn't give them the satisfaction of seeing me upset. I drove home with my hands tied on the steering wheel, Eli quiet in the passenger seat, because he knows when I'm trying not to fall apart. At a red light, he finally said, do you want me to say something next time? And I stared straight ahead and said, if you do, they'll make you the villain. Then my voice cracked on the last word, and I hated myself for it. When we got home, I went straight to the laundry room and pretended I had to switch a load that didn't exist just to be alone for a second. I stood there staring at the blank wall, breathing through my nose, and I opened my bank app like I always do when I'm stressed. Not to obsess, to remind myself that numbers don't laugh. Numbers don't snort. Numbers just sit there quietly building. That week, I did what I already planned. I emailed a mortgage broker. I booked a meeting. I sent over pay slips, tax returns, boring adult documents that nobody claps for. I sat in a little glass office while a woman with kind eyes asked me questions like I mattered. What's your deposit goal? She asked, and I said the number, and she didn't laugh. She just nodded and said, okay, that's workable. The relief of that almost made me dizzy. I didn't tell my family, not because I wanted to be secretive, because I wanted one thing in my life that wasn't touched by their commentary. The first time I met with my realtor, It was at a coffee shop near my office. Her name is Nina. She's sharp, practical, and the kind of person who wears sneakers with a blazer and somehow looks more powerful because of it. Nina was also my college roommate's cousin, which is how I found her, and she had this calm, no-drama way of asking questions that made me feel like I wasn't being silly for wanting stability. "Do you want something that feels like home?" she asked. "Or do you want something that feels like an investment?" And I stared at my coffee for a second and said, "Both, if that's possible." Nina smiled like she'd heard that 1,000 times and said, "It is, if we're patient." We started with realistic listings. Normal houses, 2 or 3 bedrooms, places with older kitchens but good bones, neighborhoods where you can hear kids riding bikes but also see the value trending up. I looked at carpet stains and dated tiles and tried to imagine myself making dinner in a space that didn't belong to a landlord. It felt unreal in this quiet, fragile way, like if I said it too loud it would disappear. Then, one day, Nina sent me a message. "I have some time tomorrow morning before my next appointment. Want to see a couple stretch listings? Just to calibrate your taste." Stretch listings. That's Realtor code for this is above your current plan, but it's useful to see what your money could do if things shift. And here's the part that matters. Nina didn't send those because I was pretending to be rich. She sent them because I'd gotten a promotion and a bonus, and because Eli and I had decided to combine some of our plans. Eli wasn't paying for my house like some rescue prince. He was contributing because we were building a life together. 2 incomes, disciplined savings, and a timeline we'd been quietly working on. Also, this is important, I had a small inheritance from my grandmother that I hadn't touched because it felt sacred. Not a fortune, not mansion money, but enough to change what was possible when combined with everything else. So yes, the mansion part is real, kind of. It wasn't like I was buying a celebrity estate. It was more like big houses in old money suburbs, the kind of places you tour to understand what space really feels like and to figure out whether you even want it. Nina had another client who wanted those homes, and she was already in that area, and she offered to show me 2 listings because she knew I was curious and because she's good at her job. And that's the day Tara saw me. It happened so stupidly. Nina picked me up outside my office because the first place was across town and parking was a nightmare. We pulled up to this gated property with a long driveway and a hedge that looked like it had its own payroll. Nina was talking about the seller's timeline, pointing out details like solid bones and renovation potential, and I was half listening, mostly just absorbing the weirdness of being there. I stepped out of Nina's car in my work clothes, feeling underdressed and slightly ridiculous. And as I adjusted my bag on my shoulder, I heard my name. "Lily." Tara's voice, sharp and bright. I turned, and there she was, sunglasses, big purse, the posture she uses when she thinks she's walked into a scene she can control. She was in the passenger seat of a white SUV, window down, her mouth already forming that smirk. "What are you doing here?" she asked like I'd been caught shoplifting. For a second, my body did that old reflex thing. Panic, shrink, explain. But I didn't. I just stood there. Nina stepped up beside me, professional smile on. "Hi," she said pleasantly. Tara's eyes flicked to Nina, then to Nina's blazer, then to Nina's clipboard, then to the house. And I watched it click in real time. You could almost see the jealousy flare behind her sunglasses. "Oh my God," Tara said, dragging out the words. "Are you touring this house?" I kept my voice calm. "We're looking," I said. Tara's mouth opened slightly. Then she laughed, but it wasn't the warm family laugh. It was the tight laugh of someone who's threatened. "That's hilarious," she said. "With what money?" Nina's smile stayed fixed, but her eyes sharpened slightly. I could feel her registering the dynamic. Tara glanced at Nina again and asked, too sweet, "Are you her realtor?" Nina nodded. "I am." Tara lifted her phone like she was about to take a picture. "This is insane," she said. "I have to tell Mom." The old me would have begged. "Please don't." The old me would have tried to manage Tara's reaction. But I felt something settle in my chest like a weight finally finding the floor. "Go ahead," I said. Tara's head snapped toward me. "Excuse me." I shrugged small. "Tell her," I said again. "It's fine." Tara stared like she'd expected me to look ashamed. Then she gave that tight smile again. Okay, she said. Okay, this is cute. Just don't embarrass yourself. And she drove off, tires crunching on gravel like punctuation. Nina didn't say anything right away. She just looked at me for a second, then said, gently, "Do you want to keep going?" I swallowed. My mouth was dry. "Yeah," I said, and my voice sounded steadier than I felt. "Let's keep going." Inside that house, everything was absurdly clean. White walls, high ceilings, light that poured in like it had been staged for a magazine. It didn't feel like a home. It felt like a museum of rich people. Nina pointed out the things you're supposed to notice: foundation, roof layout, but I was distracted imagining Tara texting my family group chat like she caught me in a lie. And sure enough, my phone buzzed before we even left the second property. Family group chat. Mom, Dad, Tara, me. Tara. Oh, guess who I just saw house shopping? In Brookridge, loudly crying face. Mom, what? Lily? Dad, is this a joke? Tada, nope. She was with a realtor at that big gated house on Hawthorne. Maybe she's dreaming again, faced with tears of joy. My hands went cold. Nina was talking about property taxes, but her voice faded behind the buzz of my pulse. I stared at the messages until the screen blurred slightly. Eli texte me privatelu, breite. You don't owe them a performance. So I didn't perform. I typed into the group chat. Not a joke. We're looking at houses. I didn't tell you because you laugh at me. And I hit send. There was a pause, those 3 dots from my mom, then nothing. Then my dad. We don't laugh at you. Don't be dramatic. Tara. OMG, it was a joke. You're so sensitive. Mom. Honey, we just worry. Houses are a big responsibility. And there it was. The flip. The same people who laughed at me, now pretending they were concerned for my well-being. Like the problem wasn't their disrespect. It was my reaction to it. I didn't answer. I put my phone face down in my lap and kept going through the day with Nina like I hadn't just thrown a truth grenade into my family. That evening, my mom called. I watched it ring for a full 10 seconds before I answered. Her voice was syrupy. "Hi, baby," she said. Iraplia. "So, Tara said she saw you." My mom began, like she was gossiping with a neighbor. "Yep," I said. "And you're looking at houses?" she asked, pretending surprise, even though I'd literally typed it. "Yes," I said again. My mom made a small laugh. "Well," she said, "you should have told us. We could have helped." I almost laughed. "Helped how?" I asked. There was a pause. "Well," she said, "your father knows about homes. He could. Dad hasn't fixed his own gutter in 10 years, I said, and my tone wasn't cruel. It was factual. My mom huffed softly. "Okay, no need to be like that," she said. "We're just excited. It's a big step." "Are you excited?" I asked quietly. "Or are you embarrassed you didn't know?" Silence. Then my mom's voice sharpened a touch. "Why would we be embarrassed?" I stared at my kitchen counter, at the bowl of lemons I'd forgotten to throw out, at the mail stack. "Because you made fun of me," I said. "And now you're realizing I meant it." My mom sighed like I was making her work too hard emotionally. "Your sister didn't mean anything by it." "I did," I said. Another pause. Then, carefully, "Are you buying alone?" "Eli and I are buying together," I said. "Oh," my mom said, and that one syllable held a lot. Not happiness. Not pride. More like recalculation. The next day, my dad called. He didn't ask how I was. He asked, "So what kind of budget are we talking?" Like he was shopping for himself. I said, "We're still figuring it out. Because that Hawthorne place is, what, $3 million?" He said, like he'd done research overnight. "It's not what we're buying," I replied. "Don't get in over your head," he warned, and I could hear the old authority in it, the same voice that used to tell me my dreams were nice but unrealistic. "I'm not," I said. "I'm doing this responsibly." He snorted. "Well, you never know." After that, Tara shifted into a new mode, possessive interest. Suddenly she wanted updates. Suddenly she had opinions. She'd text me listings she found with captions like this, "Is more your speed," or "This one is cute if you don't mind a fixer." She sent one listing that was literally a tiny townhouse in an area 2 hours away and said, "Perfect starter home for you." Like I hadn't been working my butt off for years. I didn't respond. Then she tried another angle. She invited me for coffee. Rare, then spent 20 minutes talking about her own future property plans and how she and her husband were waiting for the right time, which is code for we can't afford it. Then she leaned in and said, "So, if you get something big, you could rent out a room to us if we ever needed to." "Stay here. A room." I repeated. "Thought I lose it. I'm just saying. You never know. With the market. Babies. Life." Her eyes gleamed like she was testing a lock. I felt something in me go very still. "You're not moving into my house," I said, simple. Tara's smile snapped. "Wow," she said. "I was joking." "Stop joking," I said, still calm. "It's exhausting." She sat back, offended. "You're really getting a big head about this," she muttered. And that was the moment I realized what this was really about. It wasn't just jealousy. It was control. Tara liked having me in a certain role. Behind her, smaller, predictable. If I stepped out of that role, she didn't know what to do with me except try to pull me back. We ended up buying a house that was not a mansion, but it was beautiful. 3 bedrooms, an old fig tree in the backyard, a kitchen that needed cosmetic updates but had great light, a neighborhood where kids chalk the sidewalks and people actually wave. The first time I walked in after settlement, keys in my hand, the house empty and echoing, I sat down on the living room floor and just breathed. Not in a dramatic, I made it way. In a quiet, stunned way, like my body finally believed I was allowed to have something steady. We didn't tell my family the address right away. Eli and I did 2 weekends of cleaning, painting, fixing small things, just making it ours. I hung one picture, just one, before I told anyone. I wanted the house to hold me before it held their opinions. When we finally invited them over, my mom walked through the front door with her face pinched in that way people do when they're trying to hide surprise. "Oh," she said again, "it's nice." Tara arrived 10 minutes later, sunglasses on like she was entering an event. She walked through the living room and said, "Cute," like she was touring a rental. Then she stepped into the kitchen, saw the big window over the sink, and her expression flickered. She couldn't fully hide it. The jealousy, sharp and bright. "This is bigger than I thought," she said. I smiled politely. "Yeah," I said. Tara turned to my mom, voice loud. "I can't believe Lily pulled this off," like I wasn't standing there. Eli's hand brushed my back lightly, grounding me. My dad wandered outside, inspected the fence like he was evaluating craftsmanship, then came back in and said, "So how much did this set you back?" "No congratulations." "No, proud of you. Just cost." I took a breath. "I'm not discussing numbers," I said. My dad blinked like I'd spoken a foreign language. "Why not?" he asked. "Because every time I share something with you," I said, keeping my voice even, "it gets turned into commentary. I'm not doing that anymore." The room went quiet in that uncomfortable way families go quiet when you refuse the script. Tara laughed awkwardly. "Okay, boundary queen," she joked, but her eyes weren't joking. My mom pressed her lips together. "We're happy for you," she said, too late, too practiced. And here's the part one didn't expect. The house didn't fix anything. It didn't suddenly make my family kind. It didn't make Tara supportive. It didn't turn my dad into someone who could say, "I underestimated you." Instead, it made the dynamic more obvious. Because now there was proof. Proof that their laughter wasn't concern. It was dismissal. Proof that I'd been quietly growing in a corner while they kept treating me like the same kid at the table. After they left, Eli and I stood in the kitchen in the quiet that follows people who drain you. The sun was setting through that big window, turning the countertops gold. Eli wrapped his arms around me from behind and said, softly, "How are you doing?" And I surprised myself by laughing. Not happy, not sad, just incredulous. "They still don't see me," I said. Eli kissed my shoulder. "You see you," he replied. That night, I walked through the rooms again alone. I turned on lamps. I listened to the house creak in its newness to me. I ran my fingers along the hallway wall like I was checking that it was real. And I thought about that dinner table laugh, the snort, the beer chuckle, the tight smile, and how I'd spent so many years absorbing those sounds like they were facts. They weren't facts. They were just noise. Tara can keep her jokes. My dad can keep his skepticism. My mom can keep her "we're just worried." This house is quiet in a way my childhood home never was. It's mine in a way nothing in my family ever felt mine. And if Tara saw Nina showing me mansions and thought she'd caught me pretending, fine, let her think that. The truth is simpler, and it's the truth that actually matters. I didn't buy a house to impress them. I bought it because I got tired of living my life like I needed their permission to grow.